Today, for those of you doing the Bible reading, I have you reading Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 6 through 20. And this is a passage that contains 5 woes. And these are directed against a nation that, and there's several things listed. The woes are who plunder people, who obtain gain by violence, who build towns with blood, who shamelessly degrade their neighbors, and who trust in idols. These are the 5 things that the prophet is condemning. And originally, it seems to have been applied to the Assyrians. And then the Assyrians were conquered by the Babylonians. And then after the Babylonians, they looked at the Macedonians. And really, all of those are universal wrongs, I think, in the eyes of the Lord, that nations who do those things, who plunder, who obtain by violence, who build towns with blood, that's again another reference to violence, who degrade their neighbors, trust in idols rather than the Lord. It's all bad news, right? But in the middle of all these woes, you have a verse that expresses a totally different thought. And that's verse 14. But the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And that's right in between this, alas, for you who build a town by bloodshed. Alas for you who make your neighbors drink, pouring out your wrath. You have this, and you almost read it, it's like, what is this verse doing here? Why is this here? And it may sound familiar because it's almost word for word identical to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 9, about a time when the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord and no one will hurt anyone else on God's holy mountain. And I think it's because this is part of God's hope that's spoken through the prophets over and over, that in the midst of the violence, the bloodshed, the corruption, the trusting in things that don't deserve our trust and allegiance and worship, that God's vision is still there. One day, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, just like the waters cover the sea. And I want to encourage you today, after this video is over, just to spend a moment or two thinking about the glory of the Lord. What does that phrase mean to you? What is God's glory? How does it look? How does it sound to you? And what would it mean for God's glory to cover the whole earth rather than violence and bloodshed and greed? What a difference it would make. What a thing for us all to be praying for God's glory to be manifest in our world.